Before we start, I should probably mention that this tutorial is very slow paced, and it took me over an hour to record, mainly because it includes every route, every trick, and every glitch that has been so far discovered, or at least every glitch that matters. So for an ideal experience, I suggest you actually have the game open, doesn't matter if it's speedrun mod or the vanilla version, and just play along with the tutorial, because otherwise you just will not have a fun time, because it is actually very slow. Okay, this is to serve as a all-in-one definitive guide for home sheep home speedrunning, at least the current routes that we've got. This will probably get outdated. So instead of just talking about all the routes, which I will do, I will also go very in depth about the specific strategies and the specific speed tech, so to say, that is used. So that even if this becomes outdated, you still know generally what the type of tricks that there are used. That was not a sentence, I'm sorry. Okay. So first, I will go in assuming that you've probably played a game at least similar to this, so I mean, you don't need the usual instructions, 1, 2, 3 for switching sheep, WASD for movement, or arrow keys. Yes, that is the first thing I should probably start with. I would suggest that you start and keep playing with arrow keys, because there are some tricks later on in the game that are fairly precise that probably require arrow keys. Well, they don't require arrow keys, but they're way easier to do with arrow keys, because you can have one hand on your 1, 2, and 3 buttons, and you can have the other hand on your arrow keys. I know a runner that does use WASD and 1, 2, 3. His name is Dusty Hobo. I have no idea how he manages that. I have no idea how he prefers it. But I also do know that at some points he does switch over to the arrow keys, because some tricks are just way too precise, and we'll get to that in just a bit. So I think that's the first thing I should mention. You should probably get in the habit of playing with 1, 2, 3 and arrow keys, and 1, 2, 3 on your number row, not on your numpad. Okay, so left hand on 1, 2, 3, right hand on arrows. That's the first thing. Yeah, also, for setting up the game environment, you'll see I'll have stuff like this personal best here, and I've got a speedrun timer at the top here, and if I complete the first level, you'll also see that I have a splits timer for my PB. All of this stuff is part of a mod. It's called the Home Sheep Home Speedrun mod. I'll make a separate video on that, on how to set that up. So when that video is done, just check out the top right. There should be the info thingy, and also probably at the end of the video. And in the description. I'll add all the resources you need in the description as well. So that's for that. Here we'll just be covering all the routes. Right, so we've got the arrow keys out of the way. What now? First, some basic speed tech that we'll be using throughout the entire run. The primary thing, well, I don't think we really need to talk about how fast all the sheep move, because they generally move at about the same speed. The big difference is how long they take to pick up speed. Shirley doesn't need any time to pick up any speed. Sean, although he does move at the same rate as Shirley when he's at max speed, he takes forever to pick up speed. He's like the more slippery character, and then Timmy is also kind of in the middle. So, that's just something to keep in mind. Also, Sean jumps twice as high compared to the other guys. So, yeah, it's just some minor stuff. You won't really be needing that. What we'll actually be talking about, so first, is a mechanic which is very simple in concept. It is just stacking sheep, right? So this will be something you'll be doing very often in the run, actually. I'll just pause that timer. We'll be doing this fairly often, because in a lot of levels, you'll need to move all 3 sheep at the same time. And normally you do that by just pushing everyone with Shirley, or you can just stack everyone on top of Shirley at the beginning of the level and just proceed on like that, as if you were one sheep. Obviously, this has limitations, like you can barely jump with Shirley unless you jump with Sean first. And lots of other tiny little things. But you should definitely practice stacking sheep. I'm actually definitely not the greatest at this, I will tell you. There you go, that's a decent stack. let me actually show a level where that is useful. Level 5. You see, like, we have to get over this gap, and, you know, the optimal strategy here would be to stack all the sheep and just jump over as if you were one sheep. Now, also one important thing to note, why can't you just, like, go all the way back with all your sheep? Well, you'll see here that if I do a lot of jumps, then eventually Sean will slide off the back of Shirley. Obviously, that was over-exaggerating. I could have just done that way more peacefully. I didn't have to do that many jumps. Could have done that a little bit more carefully. But still, I was on, like, the edge there, right? So, when you're learning to stack sheep, just... oh, yeah, there's actually multiple ways to do it. Either you just, as soon as you learn to level, you hold up and left, and switch to Timmy, and just make the stack. You just gotta get comfortable with that. Or... you can hold 3 once you enter the level to switch to Timmy, then jump back on top of Sean's back, and then jump on top of Shirley with Sean. Because now, even if I do this completely over-exaggerating thing with way too many jumps, you know, Sean is too far to the front. He's not going to slide off anyway, so you don't have to worry about that. That's just some of the ways to stack sheep, and you'll definitely be needing that in the course of this run. Okay, next thing. Sheep boosting is a term that I'll also be using fairly often. So sheep boosting is simply when you jump with 2 or more sheep at basically the same time. So if I do a triple sheep boost here, you'll see that I jumped with all 3 sheep basically at the same time. That can happen. I'll explain that in just a second. Yeah, and the way that's done is just you switch to Shirley or whatever sheep is at the bottom. You can also do like a double sheep boost with just Sean and Timmy like this. Alright, so you just switch to the bottom sheep generally, and as soon as you start holding your jump key, just quickly alternate between 2 and 3, just like that. So yeah, just switch to Shirley, press up, hold it, 2 and 3, like this. The closer together the inputs are, the higher you'll obviously get. And you know, if you do it slowly, then you might still be able to get like a decent amount of height even then. See, like I did it very slowly there, and I still got about the same height that I would get even if I did it quickly. And that's because, you know, sheep do have like they don't exactly have a capped vertical speed. What I meant is that they have a capped vertical acceleration. So it doesn't matter whether or not you do it like this slow or if you do it like incredibly fast. Yeah, so that's one thing that you should practice, and it will come very useful, yeah, it will come in handy a little bit later. Right, some other stuff to mention. So you see how, I think it's easiest to see on Sean's head here, the sheep aren't perfect rectangles in their hitboxes. There are slopes at their corners. And this can actually kind of mess up some sheep stacks, for example. Like if I do this, right, and I try and get up here. Okay, well that was too smooth. Now I'm trying to prove my point here. I'm failing to prove my point miserably. Anyway, the idea is that sometimes you'll have problems because you'll be sliding down. I think I have to be way closer to the edge for that to show, though. I don't know. Yeah, so that's another thing to keep in mind. And it can also be useful, though. Like, for example, this will be kind of difficult to pull off, but if I do a sheep boost and then land on the... I was basically trying to land on Shirley's, like, corner here, because then if you do that, you can obviously jump off of it and you can gain like incredible amounts of speed, which we won't be doing because that's an incredibly precise trick. But it's, again, something to keep in mind. I'll cover like all of the things. This is a definitive guide for every single thing because I don't want to make like hundreds of these tutorials as soon as new routes are found. What else have I not mentioned yet? Right, well, I mean, the pushing hierarchy is something that's pretty easy to understand right off the bat. You know, like, Shirley can push all the sheep, Sean can push Timmy, and Timmy can, well, Timmy can attempt, okay? Timmy can do his best. And then another thing is that, so the Box 2D engine, which is the engine that this game runs on, at least the first version of the Box 2D engine, checks for collisions once every... Oh, yeah, it checks for collisions 30 times per second. At least it should do that. And sometimes that means that if you're moving too fast into another object, which I'll try and show here. it'll be sort of difficult because it's a very precise trick. I'm failing miserably to show this. This is just sad to watch. Oh my god, I'm so rusty at this trick. Well, okay, that was a very basic example of what would have happened there. Basically what happened is Timmy clipped into Sean, and he was like somewhere around the top of his hitbox, and the game just tries to correct for that and slide him to either side. But if you do that well enough, then Timmy can actually clip inside the middle of Sean, and you can get some pretty crazy results. I'll actually show it on level 15. Because you can get a fly glitch to happen. I'll try and show it on level 15 at least. It really is an incredibly difficult trick that there is barely any use for right now. I'm actively trying to find a use for this trick. Currently the only use for it is I think in like level 6, where that level is just incredibly long normally. We don't have many optimizations for that level. So if you're running the individual level category for level 6, that's a sort of viable route. This is incredibly hard to show. But yeah, you can glitch both the sheep inside of each other, and then you can fly basically by just holding up with Sean. And that's cool, that's neat. I think that's everything for the basics. Now let's actually get to the routes for the game, I guess. The routes for all the levels. I have my cursor on screen. Okay, so for level 1, there's basically one route that you can use. There aren't really that many. This is a very basic level. As soon as you load into the level, as soon as you press enter from like the menu screen, just hold the number 1, because normally you'll have Sean selected by default. If you hold 1, then Shirley will get selected on the first frame that you gain control over your characters. So as soon as you enter level 1, just hold 1 and right, and that you'll begin running to the right with Shirley as fast as possible. Then, once you're like about here, once you started running, like when the front legs of Sean reach this sort of grass patch here, you want to switch to Sean, jump, and then switch to Shirley, right? It's sort of precise. You might screw it up. You actually probably will screw it up a lot of times the first time around, but yeah, you'll get the hang of it, trust me. So you want to do that, and then you want to run with Shirley to the end here, and don't push the plank any further. So it looks like this, and just run here, and wait until Sean falls down. When Sean falls down, you jump with Sean and Timmy, and then with Shirley, and push everyone to the end. Right, so that looks sort of like this when executed fast. You'll need to practice that, but yeah, you can get some pretty good times with that. It's pretty consistent. There are obviously other ways. You can also keep pushing with Shirley, and try and get the plank flat earlier, which I'm trying to show that here, and I'm failing horribly. Yeah, which can sometimes lead to the plank getting knocked down like that. Don't do that for full game runs. You'll probably take like 100 attempts before you actually start running the game. Just do this level sort of calmly, sort of peacefully. It doesn't matter if you lose those like first 20 or 200 milliseconds. I am normally very mad if I lose 20 milliseconds on level 1, but that's because I'm a perfectionist, okay? You do not have to do that. Okay, that's basically it for level 1. There really is nothing else that could be improved there. Obviously, you can also do more basic strats, like just knock down this plank, get Timmy and Sean on there, and just push her on to the end. But I advise you learn this one. Okay, level 2. There are 2 main ways to do this, although both are very similar. And obviously there are more, but those are just slower. So the first method is just running forward, jumping, knocking over this whole stack, getting to the end with just the 2 sheep. The way you would normally do it, you know, the standard method. And here's the cracked speedrun method. Here's how all the crackheads do it. So you do a reverse sheep boost, and then you alternate the 2 sheep until you get to the end. Okay, I also mentioned a term that I had not mentioned before. What is a reverse sheep boost? This is important. So a reverse sheep boost is similar to a sheep boost by nature, but instead of jumping with the bottom sheep and then going up, you actually jump with the top sheep first, then bottom, then top again. because that gets you more height than doing this. Like, doing this is okay and all, but this gets you a little more height, and it's also definitely way more consistent than doing this, because if you're doing a normal sheep boost with a heavier sheep on top, chances are you'll have a very, very small time frame to actually execute the boost, and normally you'll just end up with, like, you know, barely any height increase. So a reverse sheep boost is you jump with the top sheep, then the bottom, then the top again. So when you're running forward here, you want to jump on top of Sean and do that sort of alternating pattern, right? Then you just knock over all the stuffs. And now here, okay, so the second part of this level is you'll just have to, well, there are multiple ways of doing this. Either you just randomly spam 1 and 2 and just hold up and right and pray that this works, because this is also a viable strategy, by the way. I prefer, honestly, looking at your stack, analyzing the stack as it's falling down, and seeing, like, you know, what the timings you want to be using there are, right? Because that's just more consistent. If you just spam up and right, if you just spam 2 and 3 and just hold up and right, you're probably gonna get to the end, yeah, but you might also just jump into a pit and not be able to recover, because the thing is, I wanted to show it here, I don't think I can. Okay, so what I wanted to show here is that you see this two, or you see this like a vertically aligned pillar. Normally, if Timmy is at the base of that thing, which I can't for the love of my life, just okay. Normally, Timmy can't jump over these things if they're vertical, right? Although it will normally. Okay, this is a little bit weird. Timmy can't exactly jump over those things normally, but you can sometimes get lucky. Because in this game, you can climb basically any wall. Oh, here you go. Finally, an example. Don't knock it over. Oh god. Okay. Yeah, so you'll see here that Timmy has trouble jumping over that thing. He can knock it over, sure, but if there's something behind that, you know, you'll have trouble knocking it over. The only odds you have of getting over vertically stacked stuff is if you wall climb, which is that sort of mechanic. Basically, if you're going down and you collide with an object, you can clip into it for like even a frame, and it should let you jump off of that object. But if you don't get that, you're out of luck. So all of that was just a very long way of saying I would advise you to, like, thoughtfully switch the sheep here. And that's basically it for level 2. There really is nothing faster than that, I would say. Level 3, on to the next level. Okay, so there are actually a few routes that are possible here. I will go from slowest to fastest. The first one would involve switching to Shirley first, jumping over everyone, riding the swing to the end, then bopping the swing back like that, and pushing the other 2 sheep on it, assuming that you're fast enough to do that. I have not done that in a while, actually. That is slow, though, because you have to take 2 trips on the swing. Granted, the second one is faster because you can, like, knock it back. Still, okay, I'm incredibly bad at that. I've not done that forever. Still, that's 2 trips. Another route you can do is you can, again, sheep stack. Doesn't matter how well your sheep stack is here, because you can just improvise afterwards. And take 1 ride. Or, the most optimal route here is to switch to Shirley at first, move right until all the 3 sheep are grouped together, then hold up and right and switch 1, 2, and 3. Like so. That was horrible. Like so. There you go. Okay. And then just improvise to get off of the thing. That is probably the fastest method because you don't have to waste time doing the actual stack. As soon as you start moving, you're already, on your way to the end of the level. And if you get consistent at this, you'll see that this is a very, very consistent strategy. It gets very consistent times. It's very hard to lose time on that if you just do that strategy. It's also very hard to gain time then. But, whatever. We're all about consistency here because this might be a short game, but there's a lot of finicky stuff. So, that's basically level 4 in a nutshell. Okay. Or level 3, yeah. So level 4 now. Now level 4. There's really only one strat here. You just push everyone at the start with Shirley. Timmy falls down, and while Timmy's falling down, you can push a little bit further with Shirley if you want to. I do that in runs. It saves like probably no time whatsoever, but you know it's a little thing that you can do instead of just waiting for Timmy to fall down. Just make sure you don't lose time by like pushing after Timmy has already fallen down. You know. Okay, so as soon as you've got Timmy down here, what you'll want to do is you want to run to the right until you reach this curve. In the tunnel, at which point you'll want to also start jumping. So you want to run right as soon as you reach that curve, start jumping, and that should get you on about the right timing to do that. You might have to improvise if you're like a little bit off. You might end up doing this jump here, and then you might want to have to like jump back like that, or you might like get super lucky and be able to get that jump. Also, yeah, one thing to note, if you've started jumping, don't stop, because you will be incredibly slow. Or if you don't want to do the jump setup, what you can do is you can just run right, and just don't jump at any point, because, yeah, that will slow you down. Just run right, and then jump as soon as you're ready. That might be a little bit slower in some cases, though, because sometimes you can get bugged on this edge and end up running just as slowly as if you had jumped. So for consistency's sake, again, I just do this. I just jump till the end, and then yeah, you can also get caught on this edge here. You can also get caught on this edge here. But yeah, once you get up here, just tap the button and just jump to the right as soon as possible. Then switch to Shirley and proceed to the next level. Right. One thing I will note about the final movement there. When you're pushing the box and Sean with Shirley, you want to look for the middle of the box to go over the start of this tunnel here, and that's when you want to jump. So that's when you want to do, you know, 2 and 1 and then jump to get to the end, because that will get the box in about the right place. You know, it will put it in the tunnel, and everyone should be at the end at an optimal time. It's hard to lose time on that. Well, actually, no, it isn't, but it's fairly consistent once you get it down. Okay, level 5. If you watched the first part of the video, we've talked about this already. You just need to make a sheep stack. Well, there's actually 2 ways. You either make a sheep stack and you just jump to the end, jumping as late as possible on the first jump here. You need to jump on the absolute ledge, otherwise this jump is very difficult, right? So that's one way of doing it. You can obviously do another like stacking method if you prefer, like that. And I jumped way too late there. Or another strategy you can do is you can select Shirley at the start, run forward, and when you're about to fall off the ledge with Timmy and Sean, switch to Timmy and Sean and jump over. So, you know, like, okay, that's not... I mean like this, right? And so jump over there. This is going to be very hard to explain because there's like no slow motion, but bear with me here. So you jump like this. Then, when those sheep are about to hit the ground, you start a cycle of switching through all the sheep, right? So the first time around, you just switch through Timmy and Sean, or you just jump with Timmy and Sean. Then once those hit the ground, you start cycling between all 3 of the sheep. That's not a consistent strategy, but it is way faster. Okay, it is like, it can save like 2 seconds. Holy hell, a whole 2 seconds. I mean, honestly, in a run of this pace, it is pretty decent, but it is in advanced... God, I cannot speak. Okay, it is an advanced route. So that means that, you know, sometimes if you do that, for example, you know, you either die there or you might have to improvise your movement. So if you're generally very comfortable with the game and you're very comfortable with like looking after your sheep and managing them all like you would in like level 2, then you know that's something that you should consider. It does save like a fair amount of time. I don't actually do it in runs because I want consistency. I get very mad when I fail like the first third of the game very often, so I actually just prefer doing this, because otherwise it just loses the fun aspect. But if you want like a cheap 2-second time save, you can just practice level 5, practice managing your sheep, get like a lineup that works for you, and just save another 2 seconds from that. I think that's it. There's obviously, you know, the basic strategy of just jumping over with every sheep in a row, and then Shirley, which I did completely incorrectly there, but that works because you can wall climb. Yeah, that's also obviously a strat, but as you can see that's not viable at all. That's incredibly slow. Okay, level 6. This is an interesting one, and also a painful one, because the first thing you'll notice once you load into level 6 is how goddamn plain this level is. There's nothing to play with here. There is a trampoline and nothing else. So, I mean, I call this level trampoline intro because it's the first level that a trampoline is shown in, and it is also the first level that you can use a glitch with the trampoline. It's not really a glitch, it's just a little trick. If you jump on to the ring of the trampoline with Shirley as soon as you start the level, then you walk off onto the trampoline. Don't jump off into it, because if you jump off into it, you know, you start bouncing. You don't want that. Just walk off from the rim, and then walk to the right, stop as soon as you hit the right, and then start holding right again. You'll be able to push the trampoline without having to go all the way around it, like back here. I mean, you could totally do this. It loses like no time, and it is way more consistent, obviously. But if this is really not that hard to get, if you're doing like any faster runs. If you're for your first run, obviously go around the trampoline. It is way easier to do, and it loses like no time. Okay, so how far do you push the trampoline, then the question might arise. Generally, you push it until the front leg of the trampoline reaches this grass patch here, the front of this like spiky bush. We'll also be using grass patches for alignment very often. Anyway, yeah, so as soon as it reaches there, you'll see the trampoline slides to the end of the bush anyway. And then you just want to jump up here with Shirley. Generally, you want to let go of Shirley as early as you can, like let's say here, right? Because, you know, she'll just land there anyway. And then as soon as Shirley is, yeah, as soon as you let go of Shirley, you select Timmy, and you do one jump, correct, for Shirley's position, while Timmy is in the air, so that, you know, Timmy doesn't like land on this slope and fall off, because that will happen often if you don't correct for the position. And then do the same thing with Sean. Just jump, move these two sheep forward, and you're at the end. Also, one thing to note, like the way you transition between levels, you can obviously press N, or you can press spacebar. And I prefer to press spacebar because obviously, you know, I have my left hand on 1, 2, and 3 already. So, you know, I can just have my thumb on the spacebar key and I can just press that. Although, if you're comfortable pressing N to proceed to the next level, that might also be better actually, because then, you know, sometimes jumping at the end of the level might make you like fly just a bit outside of the level load trigger. And in this level, it's not really a problem. I think it's more of a problem in level like 11. Yes, because here you come from a pretty high height, and then, you know, if you jump here, while the other sheep are in there just trying to end the level as quickly as possible, you'll go like this instead of going like this, and that'll obviously lose time. So it's a thing to keep in mind. That, you know, you can switch levels with space and N. Anyway, that was the first strat for level 1. Or not level 1, level 1. No, level 6. I'm losing brain cells, I'm sorry. That was the first route. There is another route, which I do not suggest you go for in a full game run. But if you're doing something like individual level speedruns, it is basically the go-to route because it is the fastest. So that's once you get up here with Shirley, you switch to Timmy, jump up, walk under him with Sean, jump onto the trampoline, and so here as soon as you... Okay, so this is going to be a little bit hard to explain. I'm actually not sure I can show this because I'm incredibly bad at it. I don't practice it. Basically what we're trying to do here is get fly glitch. We're trying to stick the two sheep inside of each other. That sounded incredibly weird. I am sorry. Okay, god damn it. Do not get PETA on my ass. Anyway, you jump up, you get Sean under Timmy. Then while you'll probably get Timmy on like the front of Sean, while midair, you'll want to try and adjust that and get Timmy in the middle of Sean, because fly glitch only really works if both the sheep are aligned in like about the middle, which is like this. And then yeah, so ideally you'd want to, yep, there you go. I'll explain how that works in just a second, but as soon as you do get fly glitch, try not to land or hit a wall, because then it sometimes breaks. Just fly to the end as fast as possible. If you switch between 2 and 3, then you'll fly up faster. Just hold up and spam 2 and 3, it should be fine. Okay, the way that fly glitch works is basically, if two objects are moving too fast into each other, you know, they'll stick inside of each other. So what you're doing there, what you're looking for there, is that... Yep, failed that. Gotta love it. So what you're looking for there is that Timmy is in the air and falling down onto Sean while Sean is going up. Sometimes you can just jump off of the base platform and that will already be the case. Other times you'll probably have less luck. So one way to do it is to jump with... One way to do it is to get these two guys aligned. I'm just not focusing at all. Right. So one way to do it is to just pray that it works, or when Sean is going up, you jump with Timmy. There you go. Here, right. You want to have as little distance between them as possible. That was good. That was good. And just middle align them, right? And that should get you the fly glitch. I hope I explained that well. This is a completely improvised tutorial. This is my take 1. And I've been recording for half an hour already, and we're not even past half of the game. This is a very slow-paced tutorial. Right, so that's about it for level 6. Level 7. There are a few routes on this level, and I originally used to not like this level, but there's just been a route discovered for this level that actually makes it a pretty satisfying level to play. So the slowest route, but also the most consistent route probably, is to switch to Timmy at the start and then hold up and right at exactly the same time. You do not want to hold right or up like any sooner than the other. You can technically hold up first and then right. That's fine. But just don't do it for too long. Like if you jump like that, then you'll miss it, right? So you want to hold up and right at the same time until you get to the end of the level. Generally, just try not to press right first, because as soon as you press right first for even like a second, there's a chance you can just... Okay, that... I'm really just proving my point right now. Anyway, just hold up and right. You should get to the end of the level pretty fast with Timmy. Then with Sean, it's basically the same deal. Just get on top of this box and jump. And then with Shirley, you run till the end and jump at the last second. That's about it for the basic strat. Then there are two other strats. One that is basically RNG, but requires only a bit of timing, and another that is a little bit trickier. So I'll be going over the easier RNG one first. And so the way you execute it is you just do a stack, preferably a front aligned stack. Back aligned will probably screw you over, but I mean, honestly, in this case, it doesn't matter that much. Honestly, you could do a backline stack here, it doesn't really matter. And then you just get all the sheep as far left as possible. It doesn't really matter where Shirley is, actually. I found that it really doesn't matter. Originally, I thought it does, but this route is just proving me wrong every single time I try it. And then what you do is you just run forward. If you're lucky, that will happen. You start pushing the plank, and the plank will not actually fall down. Okay, so see, there. That didn't work. As you saw how Shirley's legs spread out a little. That's what we call a bra push, which is when it's an interesting name coined by Dusty Hobo. Yeah, it's when that happens. And if you get bra push, your push is just gonna gradually slow down until it's just a stutter. At which point the box is gonna and the plank is gonna drop, and you're just gonna die, and everything's just gonna be horrible. But if you're lucky. Actually, you don't have to be lucky. Most of the time you do get this. God, I'm bad at that all of a sudden. Yeah, most of the time you do get this. Just okay, hold on. What? I've been doing the new route for only a day, and I've already forgotten the timing for this. Yeah. Anyway, you wanna time it so that you jump as soon as the front of this plank is over the sledge here. Not any later, because you'll see what happened to me there. That is that route. And then there is another. There is one more, which I would suggest you actually use because it is both faster and more consistent. The route involves doing a front-aligned stack. Or actually, it doesn't matter where Sean is located. In this route, interestingly enough, it matters where Timmy is. Because, how I talked about before, how when a sheep jumps forward, the sheep that is on top of it bobs back, right? In this case, we're not going to be jumping with Shirley. Well, we will, but not in a stack. We will be jumping with Sean instead. So I suggest you do something like this. That failed miserably. I suggest you use this stacking method. Or if you're confident enough, you can also... Actually, this is also way more consistent. You could just select Sean at the start, jump as far back as possible, then select Timmy and just quickly correct so that you're at the front half. So that would look like that, right? Or you can obviously do the stacking method as well. Whatever. Damn it. I don't do this one. I don't do this one often, okay? Don't judge me. Oh my god. Okay, doesn't matter what method you use. Just get a goddamn stack going, okay? Get a goddamn stack going with Timmy being somewhere at the front. Then what you want to do is you want to jump on this bridge. You want to run forward, and as soon as you are about to jump off of this part here, you want to jump with Sean, then with Shirley, because you'll see here that Shirley's jump is absolutely pathetic if he's got anyone stacked on top of him. So what we'll be doing is we'll be jumping with Sean and then with Shirley. So that's all talk, and talking is easy. Here's how it actually looks. It's easier than it might look, actually. Yeah, you just switch to Sean, jump with him, then switch back to Shirley and jump with him. You might want to get the timings more precise, but that's about it for this route. And that is it for level 7. Moving on to level 8. This might actually be the most inconsistent level of all of them, right before level 9. Although if you're good at level 9, that should be fine. Yeah, there are a couple of ways of doing this, but most of them are pretty much the same. As soon as you start in the level, just hold up and right to do this jump, not that jump. You want to be as far left on the platform as you can be. This is very good. This is pretty good. This should still work. Anything past that point like this is probably not going to work. Because, you see here, if I'm too far, I will walk over the box and things will just be horrible. Instead, you want to land, ideally you want to land the jump. That should be good. This should be good. So you can, push it over. If you do manage to land it a little bit too far, just walk back a little bit, run in, and push the box. It should all be fine. Then, what you're looking for here is, if you're doing the advanced route, you want to align the front legs of Sean at around the middle of this grass patch here. And that's when you want to jump. So you just run forward until your legs are there, and then you just jump, and that should get the box on the button. And then in the meanwhile, you can obviously move these guys to the end. If you're not so consistent at that, which I'm not, but I still do it anyway, what you can do is you can run forward here and then jump when you just get on the platform and land right by the door. Then just use these two sheep to push the box and use Sean as like a stopper. And that should be pretty consistent as long as you don't push too fast with the two other sheep. Because what happens when you push too fast is you'll just push the box over him or something. I mean, it's hard to do that, but it happens, okay? And obviously the other route is very fun. It's just amazing. You stop. Okay, that was smooth, but I wanted to show the slow route. You just carefully put the box on the button, okay? That's what you do there. Also, it is important to note that sometimes when you're running down with Shirley, if the box is like a little bit further forward, like let's say there, you might bop the box and close the door behind you. Or the way doors work in this game is that if there's an object, actually I can just do this. If there's an object in the middle of that door, the door will move that object to whichever side is closer to. So if I'm like more to the right, the door will bop me to the right. If I'm more to the left, the door will bop me to the left. And, you know, that's a gamble, because if you're just running here with Shirley, you might accidentally knock over or push the box, which I almost did in my world record run. And then you might not soft block, but you might lose a lot of time, because you'll get bopped back, the box will be off the button, and you'll need to, like, slowly maneuver it back onto the button, which is not pleasant in the slightest. But it can also give you a boost. Now, one way to avoid it is obviously, like, once you get to the end, just... instead of walking down, you can just jump. But we all know that jumping is a little bit slower. Although, actually, I wonder, does it make much of a difference here? Because, like, you would be jumping... Alright, whatever. That's something for me to figure out later. Yeah, generally, just watch out of that. Level 9. This is going to be a tricky one, actually. This is going to be a very tricky one, because this one involves possibly the hardest trick in the game right behind Fly Glitch, which is called the Full Cabbage Skip. There's multiple names for it. There's Full Cabbage Skip, just Cabbage Skip. Some people just call it Cabbage. I used to call it Cabbage and Trampoline Skip, but that's a dumb name. This skip consists of 2 parts. The first part is getting Timmy onto the button. So what you do is you select Shirley at the beginning, you run forward, you bop the trampoline for just a bit, and then you get onto the trampoline with Timmy while you're pushing. So that looks like this. And then if you got it right, you should be able to get up to the button in just 2 jumps. If you didn't get it right, and you push the trampoline for like a little too much, let's say, you'll have to jump on the rim and then do 3 jumps total to get onto the button. There's obviously also other ways to do this. You can just get Timmy on here like that. You can also, if you're on normal graphics, you can look for this little fade in the line. There's like a little hole, so to say, a little missing piece. At the beginning of that, you can jump. If you're pushing everyone with Shirley, you can jump with that. Yeah, there you go. So you can jump at the beginning of that, and you can get a little bit of a boost either off the ledge, or ideally like that on the trampoline. There you go. If you get the boost off the ledge, well, most of the time that's actually not going to do much. But if you get that, then if you're very good at the game, you can actually make it to the button. But that's dumb, because that's slower anyway. That's an outdated route. I'm just showing it because why not? Just conveying all the wisdom of Home Sheep Home in one video. It's amazing. Okay, so yeah, just do this whole setup. If you fail that, don't worry, you'll just take another extra jump. Oh, one thing to note, if you have to do the 3 jumps, you want to let go of Timmy when he's between the Shirley and Sean icons here on the screen. So if you accidentally land on the rim, you have to do another 2 jumps. Let go of him there, right? When he's between those 2, and he should fly onto the button pretty precisely. There is no setup for when you get the 2 jump, because it depends on how well you strafed. And then just get to the door as fast as possible. I completely improvise here, I will be honest. Also, yeah, it's worth to note that here you can actually use the door as like a helping mechanism. Let's say, you're not aligned at all. You can just jump off the button and you'll be aligned against the door, because we will need this alignment for the next part of the setup. And then the last part involves just jumping down and lining yourself up with either one of the 2 here. I line myself up against this grass patch so that all of Timmy's legs are covering the grass patch. Or it's also coincidentally at the middle of this bush. But I like lining it up against the grass patch, because then I can see if there's like a little bit of the grass patch visible on like the right. I know that I have to move a little bit to the right, or if it's at the left, I have to move a little bit to the left. This is a very precise setup, so don't forget that the lineup is also precise. That is the first part. The second part is way more difficult, because it combines a very fast sheep boost and very good movement with Timmy. So what you want to do is first you want to get the lineup. The lineup is basically Shirley's tail, the end of Shirley's tail, being lined up with this point on the sign. You can also go a little bit further to the left. This much should still be acceptable. Any further, and at that point, that's just overdoing it. Ideally, though, you should have the end of his tail just aligned with this point in the sign. I like to do it a little bit to the left because I like that tiny bit of consistency for the price of finicking around with alignments. But yeah, ideally it should be like around here. And what we're gonna do here is actually, if you notice, my mouse just stopped moving. Okay, if you notice this button's hitbox here, right? It's a circle, but it peaks a little bit under this stone slab here. So what you can do is you can actually hit that button from below. However, the amount of time you can hit that button for is like, it's minuscule, right? It's barely even there. So you'll have to manage to get through that door in the amount of time that you're holding down the button for. And what you do there is you just do a basic sheep boost. Or, I say basic, but this is the one case where actually doing a slow sheep boost will only get you that. Doing a fast sheep boost... Okay, I might have actually screwed up my lineup there. Right, okay. That happens. If you screw up your lineup, just walk to the left here and just redo the thing. This is where doing a fast sheep boost might actually matter a little bit. That was horrible. That was okay. Yeah, because a faster sheep boost lets you, hit the button for a little bit longer. And one thing to note also, if you're doing this for multiple attempts, the same reason that fly glitch happens is also the same reason you might lose the lineup here after 2 or more attempts. Because if you do a good enough sheep boost, Sean might be falling down, clip into Shirley for a little bit, and the game might push him a pixel or two, and that might get him misaligned. Anyway, that's the first part, just a sheep boost. The second part is, as soon as you're done with that sheep boost, as soon as you're done executing that sheep boost, you switch to Timmy and hold up and right. So it looks sort of like that. That was just a little bit off. There you go. It's an incredibly precise trick. An incredibly precise trick, okay? But I think it's worth learning, because it saves a lot of time. There are other routes, obviously, and I'll show those right now. So the other routes include double cabbage and single cabbage. So double cabbage is basically just the intended way to solve this level. It's grabbing one cabbage at a time, pushing them somewhere in the middle of the trampoline. Eventually you'll get a feel for which cabbages will land and which won't. That one will. And then you just line yourself up against the end. Oh, okay, or that can also happen. Yeah, but you get the idea. Both the cabbages land on the button, you get through the door, it's all good, it's all fine, it's all epic. Okay, and the other strat here, the other route, is single cabbage, which is exactly what it sounds like. You only land a single cabbage on the button, and in the time that it takes you, that was horrible, in the time that it takes the cabbage to roll off of the button, you're supposed to get to the end. So ideally, you would have yourself already lined up with at least Timmy at the end here. Not jumping. Ideally also not ideally, god damn it. Ideally also not jumping. Right, and then you just roll the cabbage down at about the same way you would on double cabbage. You get yourself at the end here, and you just start pushing right with Shirley, and you pray to the gods that works. Right? That's single cabbage. If you're incredibly inconsistent at doing full cabbage skip, single cabbage might be your best bet, because it is way more consistent, although you have to be better at movement. That is true. Well, a certain type of movement, so to say. Also, one thing to note, so if you're doing single cabbage, for example, or even on double cabbage, heck, if you get the trampoline in here, sometimes if the door closes and the trampoline is under the door, actually most of the time, because of how large the trampoline is and how small the door is, the game tries to push the trampoline out, but it fails miserably. So you'll see something like this happen. If I open the debug menu here, you'll see that Timmy's hitbox is actually here. I can still walk onto the button and fix this whole issue. Sometimes as well, if you just move it to like the end, you can just... Let me show. This is pretty funny. Okay, so that's cool. That's cool, right? You can soft-lock the game forever. Well, not really. You can still technically complete the game. Just, I mean... If you can technically complete the game if you could get over this door here, if you could get Shirley to jump. Lots of problems. Basically, very cringe if you do get the trampoline stuck there. Sometimes the trampoline also just goes through the floor. And I think that's about it for level 9. It's just a very, very compact level, very finicky level. But on that note, we have gotten past the 3 possibly most difficult and inconsistent levels of the game, which, well, 7 used to be hard. It's mostly just 8 and 9. And 15. And sometimes 13. Okay, well, we've still got a long way ahead. So strap yourselves in. Let me actually see. Am I running out of storage space recording this? Oh, I totally am. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. I had to clean my computer out of excess storage because it was just dying. Next level is level 10. Very intense. It's a timed level, so you have to move fast because you know that wheel. It's moving at lightning speeds. There's basically one route here. You do a sheep boost to get Timmy over the gate, and then you just do good enough movement to get to the end. You can also do a reverse sheep boost if that's more like your thing. And also this sheep boost does not need to be fast at all. You can honestly just carry Timmy up. That's good enough for most scenarios. And then you just run to the right, jump up when you're about to hit the bottomless pit, and just make it to the end. With good movement, you can optimize this level. There really is nothing to talk about there. You can actually probably lose a sheep on level 10, but other than that, there's really no time losses. Level 11 is interesting. There are a few routes. Okay, so I'll show the slowest route, which is an old route, then I'll show the main route, and then I'll show the individual level route. So the old route used to be just stack sheep, and then walk to the right, do a sheep boost to get Timmy here, knock down... Oh, no, wait. It wasn't even knock down that. It was interesting. It was to go around everything here, push this thing, and then just hope that you got that. Yeah. That used to be the old route, and how inefficient that is now, because the new route involves running forward with Shirley, jumping with all 3 of the sheep in more or less that order. So that would be Shirley, Timmy, and Sean. You can also not jump with Shirley, it matters very little, but ideally you should. And then you get on top of Sean with Timmy, do a slow sheep boost, because the higher you spend in the air there, the more time you lose. So don't try and go for like incredible sheep boosts. Just do something low. And then you want to push against that hay bale, this haystack, and jump, which should knock over that plank. And then ideally the haystack should just tumble on its own. If it doesn't, just push it with Sean, and then get over here with Shirley. One thing to note is that you can accidentally push this here. At that point, your best bet is a wall climb or getting it down here, because then you can, under ideal conditions, there you go, climb over it. But at that point, you've already lost enough time to the point where you reset. Yeah, that's basically that. There's very little you can do to optimize it. Do not do that. Right. Another thing you can do to optimize it is just let go of control of Sean after you've made it over the stack. So then once you're jumping here, you can jump up with Sean and then correct the rest of the sheep to get to the next level. And then the last route I'll be showing is the individual level route, which is incredibly inconsistent but also fast. You run forward with Shirley, jump up with Sean there, and climb this haystack with Shirley. Ideally faster than that, because that was pretty slow. And you get to the end of the level. That is the individual level. Well, you could probably get consistent enough to do that in full game, but it's very, very random. Okay, this level 12. Yes, I remember the numbers. Totally. It's a little bit finicky, but there's mainly one strat that we use here. So first, as soon as you start level, you jump up with Shirley and do a reverse sheep boost to speed up the stairs a little bit faster. This would be ideal. And land in the middle of that swing, yeah, in that seesaw. One thing to note, it's hard to get the sheep boost if you start holding up and right at the beginning of the level, because you'll probably just miss Sean entirely. What I do is I hold up for a bit and then right. That's what I do. So here I'm holding up, right, and yeah, you can even hear it on my keyboard. My keyboard's pretty loud. See? Those are my inputs. Or, I hope you heard that. Right, and as soon as you're done with that, you land in the middle of the swing, jump to the end of the on the button, and then, yeah, you want to ideally get on top of Sean here as far right as possible, because this level end trigger is pretty small. If you push everyone to the end here, you'll see that you don't actually have a lot of space to fit Timmy in here, because the level end trigger looks for the center of the sheep, and you can see here that the back of Shirley is actually just blocking that. So ideally, you want to be stacked at least like this. Then you want to run forward with Timmy and start jumping as soon as you reach the start of this the seesaw here. And that, okay, I slowed down there horribly. So yeah, sometimes you can slow down there. For whatever reason, that slope can give you incredible slowness. So yeah, ideally you jump before that, and then you should be able to get up here pretty fast. And that's about it for this level. There aren't really any alternative routes other than one route that can be used for individual level, which is... that can also happen if you jump too early. You have to practice the timings for that. The individual level route is landing on Shirley's corner slope here, so that you would get onto the button faster. I horribly suck at that. I'm not going to try and replicate that. It's incredibly difficult. And it's also not worth going for full game runs. If you're doing individual level, you probably know what you're doing anyway. Okay, level 13, a bit of a hellhole. You start off with Shirley, run forward, jump with Timmy to get yourselves into this little cubby here. Then you run as far back as you can with Shirley, which isn't very far, but it will do. Then you run forward, and you run and jump until Shirley's, the middle of Shirley is lined with this corner of the box. Or ideally a little bit before that is also fine, because sometimes you can go too far and soft lock. Anyway, once you've done that, you get Sean under the box here. Then you just keep jumping with Shirley, get to the end, jump with Sean, get to the end, and then you want to move to the back here with Timmy. Run forward, and as soon as you reach this end of the grass patch here, the tip of the grass patch, you want to jump. That will clip you into the box and do a wall climb, most of the time. If you do it too early, or sometimes also too late, you might miss the wall climb and not get it there. Although that's pretty consistent if you just know what you're doing. Oh yeah, and obviously I'm also going to show the old routes for this, because why wouldn't I? The old route for this used to be to do a sheep stack, then a triple sheep boost, not a double. I screwed that up there. To do... How am I... Okay, hold on. I'm doing something completely wrong then. Okay. I think I'm doing it too fast. I think I'm doing it too... What's wrong? There you go. Yeah, so you do this. You get down here with Timmy. You jump on Timmy with Sean. You get to the end of the level. You get in here. You do the same thing with the boxes, except you push the box to the end. Timmy pushes this down. And you just get to the end like normal. Obviously, you can also do the box clip and wall jump with Shirley like that. So you don't exactly need that box, and that's why this route is just obsolete as hell. But it's just, again, archiving all the findings of the community, aka me. Oh, actually no. I should probably give credit where credit's due. I will do that after the tutorial. Yeah, so for 14, there are also multiple routes. I'll show the basic one first and then the advanced one first, obviously. Okay, So the basic one involves getting here with right. So run forward with Shirley, jump around here with Timmy, and try and knock that plank to the right. If you can't do that, it doesn't matter. Just strafe to the end. That's also fine. Then jump down with Sean. If you hadn't knocked this plank over, just do that, and then do this. If you've already knocked that plank over, like if you've already done this strafe, which, yeah, good enough, then just fall straight down and do that, and then just get down with Shirley and push everyone to the end. That's the consistent and slow route. The fast route involves, again, doing the same push with Shirley, except now you push Timmy over the edge, do this strafe to the end, do a reverse sheep boost to get Shirley over there, and that was quite a lot of movement in a little bit. You have to improvise at the end most of the time because it's very inconsistent how you'll land. But yeah, you want to ideally get Shirley somewhere there, or actually, ideally, you want to get him on the ground. To be fair, that can happen. You want to get him on the ground normally because that means that. Oh God, soft lock. This is great. On soft lockucus. There you go. The magic spell. Right, if Shirley's on the ground, you can just jump over her and get to the end faster. That's about it for this level. There's nothing else really that I can think of other than just optimizing tiny little movement bits. The individual level route for this does involve, I believe, doing that strafe, then this strafe, then this, and then the rest. I believe it does. I'm not super sure. It's been a while since I watched that one. But it's not super important. Level 15! The last level. We've finally gotten here after... Oh, wow. It's been an hour. Okay. I'll have to edit this down somehow. Because goddamn, an hour. Nobody's going to watch an hour-long tutorial on a sheep game. Okay. For level 15. There are 2 routes. One... Well, there are 3 routes, but I'm not going over the first one because that's just absolute cringe. It is slow. It is painfully inconsistent. Right, so I'll show the, so to say, easier one, and then I'll show the advanced route. Run forward with Shirley, push the trampoline until the absolute end here, and normally you'd think, oh wow, that's counterintuitive. You need to stick there. But no, jump back with both of these sheep, land on the rim of this trampoline, jump, walk back, that can happen, don't worry. It's sort of RNG, not really, but goddamn. There you go. And just push the trampoline to the end, get over the fence, and then this movement is improvised most of the time. If you're new, if you're experienced, there is a lineup that you can do for that last movement. That's the easier part, or that's the easier route. The harder route, which is also used for individual level, it's actually very consistent, to be fair. You jump up with Shirley, walk over these 2 sheep. Hold on, I'm getting a low battery warning on... Just a sec, hold on. This is not good. Okay, I had to plug in my mic, despite how surreal that sounds. Right, so the advanced route for this level involves picking Shirley, jumping over these 2, pushing the trampoline to the end, jumping on the rim, walking a bit forward, walking back, keep running. As soon as you're lined up at about this grass patch here, start actually jumping forward, then jump up with Timmy, walk forward with Sean, and that. Okay, I was doing it very slowly, so the trampoline lineup was totally not there. But I tried to do it as slowly as I could for simplicity's sake. Right, so again, setup is just this, walk forward. The thing is, when you run forward initially, god damn it, I'm trying to show how to do this level. When you run forward initially, you'll notice that you're running pretty slow. That's why we drop back, then run forward and start jumping around here, so that we speed up and still get the lineup. Then you do that, and get to the end as soon as possible. What should I note here? Right. Okay. Also, about getting to the end, to the trampoline. Okay, so you can also just do this if you're not confident. If you're not somehow consistent doing this. I know for some people that, despite that looking simple, that might actually be a little bit complicated to digest the information for, because some people might end up doing like something like this by accident, because they'll switch to Sean or something. But yeah, you just jump up with Timmy, walk forward with Sean. If you can't do that, do the other thing. Then you want to run forward until you're about to hit the brick, and then you want to jump with Sean, Timmy, Sean, Timmy, Sean. I missed that last jump there, but ideally, if you do everything perfectly there, you should cycle the sheep in just the right timing and order. You need to practice the timing certainly, but I need to practice the timing. It is tight. Okay, I see. The thing is there. Also, one thing to note: if Timmy is too far back, the same rules apply as what I talked about before with sheep stacking. Timmy will, get pushed back a little bit, and then he'll just slide off of Sean. So you don't want that. So ideally, this is the cycle that you want. Practice those timings, and you should be good. That is basically it for... Oh, no, there's one more. There's one more thing that you could do, which I mentioned sometime around the beginning, which is the fly glitch setup. It is completely not a viable setup for speedrunning anymore, but if you want to do it, for whatever reason, go ahead. It is pretty dope. So there's two ways to do this. First, either you do a very good sheep boost and clip into the two sheep on just one jump, or probably more consistent method would be to do two jumps. When you're falling down, at around the middle point, jump up with Timmy. Alright, so when you're about to, at this top half of the window, is when you want to jump up with Timmy, when you're falling down, right? So normally you just want to keep Sean selected, except for when you're falling down for that one jump. Yeah, and just hold up the entire time. Just hold jump the entire time. Make sure you're aligned in the middle. This is incredibly hard to show for whatever reason. I guarantee you it is normally not this difficult. But normally the idea is that once you do get the glitch, you want to just imagine these two guys are flying, all right? You want to walk to the end here, just hope that your fly glitch doesn't break as soon as you land. And then you just want to, carry Shirley up by basically just jumping with Shirley and flying with Sean. Just fly to the end and complete the level. That is it for Home Sheep Home. That's basically every route I could think of. I don't think I'm really missing anything. Well, there's experimental stuff. Like on level 8, you'll notice that there is no hitbox up here. There's no collision there. So technically, what you could do in some world is hold down the button with one sheep, get one of the sheep in here, and then do fly glitch with the other two sheep. If that ever somehow proves to be faster than just grabbing the box, because I don't think fly glitch is ever going to be routed to be faster than the default vanilla strats, because it's, first of all, it's inconsistent and it will only be ever really used for individual level, and also it is slow. Having to just do a sheep boost over just pushing a box is Well, I think we both know what's preferred. I cannot get that for the life of me. I swear I used to be more consistent than that. As soon as I stopped running individual level, I just got bad. Yeah, I don't think I missed anything. Really, I think that is it for Home Sheep Home. I will be uploading a separate video on how to get the speedrunning environment set up, specifically Speedrun mod. If you want to try out doing it for yourself, if you think you know what you're doing, you can go over to speedrun.com in the resources section. You'll find the one link there that is listed as HSH speedrun mod. You just go. It's a GitHub page. You go to the releases. You download the SF or the SWF file, and you load it into your Flash player. That's about as much as I can say without going into fine details. Yeah, okay, that's it for Home Sheep Home. Yeah, so I guess I wish you good luck on your runs and have fun playing this game. Thank you for watching.